Hey, what's up everybody, BDL44 coming at you in another video. Alright, so I've been bashing the Nets all day. Not going to do that in this video, I promise. I'm going to ease up off the Nets. It will be no Nets bashing. We're going to talk about something that's being said in regards to Jeanie Buss. She was in a interview. She was asked about Russell Westbrook, and she said that a lot of positive things about him, and it was pointed out that the word best was used when described him as the Laker last year, the best Laker. And of course, it was a misspeaking. She meant to say consistent, and I thought that as soon as it was mentioned, as soon as it was said, I was like, oh, she didn't mean best. She meant he played 81 games out of 82. He was the guy who showed up the most. He was, from the owner's perspective, he was the guy that showed up the most in terms of, okay, I paid this guy to play basketball. He's the one who played basketball the most for my dollar. Might not have been the greatest basketball I've ever seen in my life. Might not have got us a championship. But, hey, he was there every night. Everybody else might have missed a little more games. He only missed one, and it was the final game. So as far as I can tell, from a consistency standpoint, from a showed up, put on the uniform standpoint, he was the best Laker. Why? Because he played more games than everybody else. Now, that's not what best means at all. But if this is a who put on the uniform more contest, and the owner's the one who's paying the bill, then in that contest he was the best Laker. And that's the contest she was judging by when she was answering the question. And she later clarified, but it's one of those situations where once you misspeak like that, once you say something that somebody can run with, they take it out of context and they do just that. So of course, BDF44, Trevor Lanes, and all of us who are aware of that, gonna try to shed some light on the fact that it's just not what she was intending to do. So Trevor shared light on all of us, and I'm gonna take that information, of course, share it with you as well, and of course encourage you guys to go check him out over there at Laker Nation. As far as myself, what I'm seeing there is just basically people kind of learning as this summer has gone. It has taught everyone about leverage. Yes, it's leverage was something that everyone understood to some degree. It was like, yeah, we got to put a certain front up to do certain things. Yes, we need to be seen a certain way, right? The concept of that was present, but now you have the understanding of what happens when you don't move a certain way. So now strategy is in place as it pertains to more of the players behind the scenes. I think are starting to understand how to maneuver in the climate that we just found ourselves in, which was unprecedented and required you to understand leverage in order to move at all. In the past, leverage was about being able to move in situations, just in general trades and stuff like that. Sorry, I can get a good deal if I keep the best leverage. I can finesse an extra pick if I keep the best leverage. In this market, you can't move at all unless your leverage is intact, because everybody is putting forth such a front on the price tag of everything they own because of the inflated value that has been placed upon this particular market. So if you looked or appeared weak, you couldn't get your goods moved at all. If you didn't have the leverage of the face of being strong, you couldn't get a deal at all because nobody was going for anything. Any slight piece of leverage, that was what you saw. Any bit of leverage down to your shoes untied was keeping people from saying yes and no in deals. So now what you're literally seeing is all of these different people, all these different sides, they get it now. They didn't necessarily get it. KD didn't get it. I'm not saying they didn't get it, but they weren't behaving in a way that kept their leverage in place. That's the best way I know how to describe it. To say they didn't get it would be an assumption of understanding. I don't know what they got, but what I can tell you is now I'm starting to see everybody starting to put their mask on. That's what I'm telling you. KD putting his mask on because he was out here telling everybody he wanted to get the hell out of here, ruining his trade value, making it impossible for him to move. He put his mask back on. I want to go back to Brooklyn. We're fine. Kyrie didn't have to do that. Obviously, his situation was unique because all he had to do was opt in. Same with Russell Westbrook. They didn't necessarily have to do that. However, Russell Westbrook had to change his tune because in the summer league situation with him and LeBron James sitting on opposite ends of each other, no, that was a bad leverage move. They had to go back to the drawing board, get back right. Now LeBron James is saying all the right stuff about Westbrook. Russell Westbrook is not saying anything negative. That whole situation with his agent, that's gone away. We don't even remember that anymore. All of these different things is him putting his mask on, Bron putting his mask back on in regards to leveraging Russell Westbrook. Jeanie Buss is doing the same, ladies and gentlemen. Picture it. She is now getting back on board. She had initially said some things that alluded to her wanting to make some changes in the team and putting forth raw emotions in regards to how she felt about communicating with players, things that she wasn't able to be able to, and just how Kobe Bryant would make things easier for her. Guess what that did? It made it look like she didn't appreciate her goods. Bad leverage play, bad mask. She looked vulnerable. Her goods and the value of those goods went down. I'm telling you, this is different. These are different times. It wasn't like that just 2 years ago. She could say something like that, it wouldn't have mattered. But when you got a player like Russell Westbrook and you're sitting there telling people you're got some issue whatsoever, they're going to look at the price tag of what you have and say, nope, that's going to cost more because you're unhappy with it, and I don't want your problems. That's being done in every situation whatsoever. All of these different situations. You look over at Brooklyn, they had to put their mask on. What's their mask? We want to keep Kevin Durant. Please, Kevin Durant, just come back to the drawing board, bro. Put your mask on. Tell everybody you want to be here. Kyrie Irving, we're gonna hold on to you for now. We understand the situation is that it is. We're gonna hold on to you. Just play nice. This gets us the ability to keep our mask on and make our goods valuable enough to move. What did the New York Knicks do? Knicks just came out 2 weeks ago, told everybody, hey, yo, we are not going for 7 picks for Donovan Mitchell. Sorry, that's a bad look for us. We would much rather keep our player. And you know what else we're doing? We're going to re-sign RJ Barrett, get him off of the table, putting their mask back on. We're not going for no bad deals. Our leverage is in place. RJ's not on the table. That's a player we never wanted to give you. You don't have the opportunity to get him no more. We still have leverage. We have pieces that we like that we will not give up. We're not just willing to fleece our entire situation just to put together the new players that we want. The New York Knicks have put on their mask. You understand what I'm saying to you, everybody? Everybody's starting to understand what they need to do to get things done. That's what I'm telling you. Now, Jeanie might have made a decision to say the word best in the attempts of putting on her mask properly in regards to Russell Westbrook and his contract. But she was going about it the right way as it pertains to wanting to talk his value up. It's exactly what Trevor Lane was explaining to us. She had to talk his value up so that people will understand beyond the shadow of a doubt that she has absolutely no problem holding on to him. If for some reason they want to overprice him, if for some reason they want to make us give up 2 picks plus other things to get rid of him, we are not doing that. Just like the rest of y'all smart enough to put on your mask, ours are on as well. All of our players are in line. We're ready to start the season with what we have if we have to. Let's get to a place from which we can work out a trade. Now you can see things move because everybody's getting back to their drawing boards, putting on their proper mask of leverage, and now you're seeing the ability to move. So the only mistake really made by Jeanie Buss was using the wrong word, but saying the right types of things. If you want to get rid of Russell Westbrook, the best thing to do is tell everybody how great he was last year. That's it. You don't highlight his problems like Skip is doing. Heck no. You highlight the fact that he played 81 games last year. Didn't miss a game. You know what I mean? And look, from an organizational standpoint, this can't be done. But also, what would also apply to helping raise Russell Westbrook's value would be to tell the truth about what happened last year with Frank Vogel. Now, that's, like I said, that's not something the organization can do. But I think the reality of the circumstance that we dealt with last year was that Russell Westbrook, and I illustrated this in just about every basketball game we had last season, we didn't have a center on the floor, and that directly affected how comfortable he was, and ultimately I think that spiraled how things got for him. We got him started on the wrong foot. He always had a Steven Adams or some type of center to go the ball to, and we ran small ball with no spacing, no defense, and no rebounding. So there's a lot of different things down there that catered to him being uncomfortable. And what you saw, I think, was just the domino effect of starting off the wrong way. That was a Vogel thing. A lot of that had to do with the playing style and his unwillingness to change his play style. And the roster itself being bad was also a byproduct of the issues we saw. But he used that as an excuse for not doing things in a good, sound basketball way for the roster that it was. So not only was it a bad roster, but he was running stuff that played directly into its weaknesses, not its strengths. See, it was a lot of what went wrong last year with Russell Westbrook was Frank Vogel's fault. A lot of it. based on that style of play and what he refused to do in regards to supplementing our issues with size. It directly affected what Russell Westbrook was able to do. Directly. And I'm telling you, this is coming from a Laker fan who not only watched every game, but talked about every game after every game. So this is one of those situations where it's like, look, I'm not confused by that. Russell Westbrook has a lot of accountability to take in regards to what we saw out there. He looked bad, bumbling the ball off his hands and feet and shooting terribly and just overall allowing his mind to deteriorate in a Laker uniform last year, which is what I saw. But nevertheless, it did start with certain things just being in place to allow him to get that frustrated, to be that unhappy. And it started, in my humble opinion, on the court, on it. You know, so that's something that she could also do if she were in a different position to try to raise his value. Say, yo, Frank, yeah, it was Frank's fault. Even if you don't agree with that, that would be one way to do it. But the point is, you got to get his value up. You talk him up. You don't talk him down. You don't mention anything in regards to being unhappy with the player if you're the owner or the GM at all. You do behind the scenes in regards to trying to get him out of here, but you know, if you're paying the media to speak on anything, if you know, in regards to that, you should be funneling positive things about these players you really want to get rid of. You know, and that's something I'm looking at. We could funnel back to Kevin Durant. You know, he wanted out of Brooklyn. And I always say, the only reason why you do that is because you're trying to get other things done within the organization. If the end goal is to actually leave the organization, then you have to go about that a different way than he did. I said the same thing about Anthony Davis as well. Literally all the players that forced their way out, I think did it wrong. I think almost all of them. The only ones that really did it right are the ones that went to their GM behind the scenes, told him to make a move, and didn't tell anybody else. And we've only heard of that being done a couple times because you're not going to hear of that being done. You see what I'm saying? Until after the fact, or maybe they don't tell you at all. But those are the most effective ways for people to get moved, especially if you're a huge star. The last thing you want to do is let people know that business. That affects the price tag. That'll make sure so that the other team on the other side is reluctant to make the move, and that's what we saw in the Kevin Durant situation. And the media, they didn't know what they were looking at, so they were telling everybody, "Oh, Kevin Durant's value's down. Oh, they don't trust Kevin Durant. Oh, people are afraid to move Kevin Durant because they don't want to move the pieces." All of these different things that did not equate to what the truth was. The truth was, it was no deal that could be made because in order to acquire Kevin Durant, you got to make sure that you also are left behind with enough to make your win now team, or you got the same problem that the team that just traded him had. You're not going to be able to make him happy. And that's the part that everybody kind of just understood. It was like a eureka moment that the entire league had as it pertained to that truth this summer. Even though we've seen the scenario many times, everybody didn't get it until now, it seems. Now people really, really get it. It's like, yo, you cannot effectively move that way. The only person you're going to benefit when you do that is potentially the other GM on the other side of the situation. That the team that you're going to, you may benefit them to some degree if they're able to take advantage of the fact that you are demanding out. But that's getting harder to leverage based on the ever-changing way of viewing these circumstances. That's what you're also seeing. Guys, it's getting harder to make those moves because people are coming to this understanding that I just described. As to where previous deals, that was even the two GMs didn't really know what they had. Now, because of these scenarios, people definitely know what they have and what they need to do to keep what they have and not get fleeced. So it's trial and error has taught a lot to this league. And so as we look at the situation going forward, you're just seeing people adjust to that. I don't think you're going to see as many trade demands going forward. I don't think that. I think you're still going to see people want out, but I think people are going to go about it in a much smarter way in terms of respecting their leverage, respecting the leverage of the GM that you are still attached to as you're trying to leave the place, and understanding that that is the GM's leverage that you need to make sure is high in order to get moved. It's not the team that you're trying to go to that you need to appeal to's leverage, unfortunately. Even though you do need to be thinking about what you're left with when you get there, obviously. But that's not whose leverage will get you moved. It's the guy you're probably unhappy with and want to get the hell out of there. That's who needs to be in a position of strength in order for you to get the hell out of there. So I think that's what changed. I think KD's situation, he now, You look at his particular situation, you say, well, I mean, did he go back? Or did he just understand this? It's hard to tell. As I told you guys in the previous video, both of those two things look the same way. So, Jeannie's putting on her mask, KD's putting on his, Knicks putting on theirs. As we said, the Brooklyn Nets is an organization putting on theirs. Russell Westbrook, everybody got the mask on. Everybody's getting the leverage to move. They're not settling for bad deals. Nobody wants to do a bad deal. And, that's all it is to it. Leverage is being reimagined in terms of the importance of displaying it. You just have to have it. You cannot show weakness right now. Nobody will make a move. So that's all it is to it. Jeannie gets it. I'm glad everybody is starting to maneuver the way they're supposed to. Hopefully that translates to us getting things done as a Laker organization and as a league. Everybody, not just my team. And it's just kind of funny in a way to myself because I've been really talking leverage for so long. And it's like, it's kind of just an understanding of give and take. What's left behind? What do you have? What do they have? Is it even? If you can't come up, if it's not even, it's one side or another is not going to be happy and it's not going to get done. So, your different leverages is just like I said, tea leaves let you know what it is that you're looking at in regards to what you have to cover up, or what you have to pretend about, or what you have to lie about, or what you have to embellish on. Those different things are situational and can fluctuate. But if you keep a good front the whole time, you always have your leverage. It sucks, man. The game's not fun. This is why these type of games are not meant for authentic people. You understand what I'm saying? People who wear their heart on their sleeves, people who have diarrhea of the mouth, that kind of stuff. This is not the game for them. You got to have control over your mouth and your emotions. It's like being at a poker table. And if you're not good at that aspect, you're going to fail. That's why it's important you have a shark of a GM in place. That's why it's important this cap Scientology, what I like to call it, science of this cap, whatever, is understood and mastered by the people in place. You gotta have great scouts, all of this stuff, man. It's not as simple as just getting a basketball team together full of professionals and paying them a bunch of money. You have got to have certain things in place so that all of your investment makes sense. That's just basically what it comes down to. If you don't have all of these things in place, that $500-600 million that you're pouring into the players, it is not going to manifest into the type of success that the other owner's $600 million is going to turn into. It's not. You have to have certain things in place. So that's what we're learning. Starts, I think, with respecting art of basketball, and it trickles down to the business of basketball, and then from there, just everybody understanding what their roles are. And I think, from an owner's position, your role is to just make dang sure that you're empowering people who know the science. That's important. Empowering them to do their thing, giving all the players what they need from a conditioning standpoint, because that's important. Conditioning, obviously, is the game of basketball. It's your bodies first. And then from there, in my opinion, it's just about listening to the players, not necessarily following the players or letting them run the situation, but understanding that if you don't have the players, you don't have a situation. And that you could keep recycling players, but if you don't treat them with a certain level of respect, you're just going to have problems with the next players and the players after that and the players after that. And you still got to deal with every type of player. So I think there's some balance to be found in regards to how you force people into behaving and stuff like that, and remembering that it's a league full of professionals who are millionaires who have leverage in this world that maybe you're not allowing them to receive in the league. You know what I mean? And try not so much to parallel it to lower levels of employment when considering what these guys opinions about their freedom to move should be, I guess is what I'm trying to say. If I'm a millionaire, a billionaire in some cases, yeah, telling me I got to stay somewhere for 5 years, 6 years, I don't know what's keeping me there at that point. It's like, if I already got the money, if I'm already up in that regard, it's like I'm doing this as a passion project, to be honest with you. Like NBA needs to understand that your greatest players don't have to play. Well, a guy like LeBron James, he really truly has all the leverage, because you're worse off if he leaves as a league. I feel the same way about Kevin Durant to a degree, I believe. The same. You're not better off if he leaves. So at some point, you got to acquiesce to that understanding and at least respect the players from that standpoint. Lean a little leverage in that regard, just off the strength that you can't run around and do that stuff. You got the money, you can pay people to do it, but unless you can find guys that are that good, it doesn't matter what you throw your money at. You can give all your money to me. I'll run around 82 games. I'll get in shape, even get as good as I can get. I'll dedicate my whole life to it. It ain't gonna look like no Kevin Durant, no Chris Paul, Kyrie Irving, LeBron. I ain't never gonna be that. It's impossible. You know what I mean? And so that's what it's about. It's about understanding that these people can do things that everybody else can't do. Your money can't buy their talent unless you're willing to find an agreement that they can agree to, so for which they would want to come to. And money ain't enough in these cases, and that's what it really comes down to. We're in a world where we're used to having it so that if giving up money in exchange for whatever it is enough. But I think what I'm starting to realize and it's starting to open my eyes and understanding is that when you're dealing with elite people and elite talent, money ain't enough. You're not going to be able to over bombard them with money and then think that you get to receive their all. You got to provide more in this modern era. You got to give people more than money, and that's the understanding that I'm coming to. If you're not going to make me happy, you're not going to make my buddies happy, you're not going to surround us with an environment that we can appreciate, you're not going to give us the type of appreciation in whatever way forms that we can find. If all you're going to do is throw paper at us, currency at us, you're not going to get our all. That's what I'm learning from elite artists and athletes. That's what we're finding out. This is why entertainers get spoiled in the way that they do. Money ain't never been enough. You got to get extra perks. You got to do this. You got to throw this into the green room. Make sure they have this all lined up so perfect, because that's the leverage they have as elite talent. As even if you throw $1 billion at me, you can double the money and throw it at me. I ain't never gonna do what they do. They're one of a kind. So you gotta overdo it, or else you don't get them. Money ain't enough. That's what we're seeing here. Guy like Kevin Durant, I want my buddy paid. I want the guys I want in place. I want this, that, and the third. But see, the problem is who's paying the bill? Even richer people. Who obviously ain't going for that. So that's when it becomes a real problem. It's like, okay, yeah, well, you're dealing with rich people, but guess what? I'm a lot richer. So if you think I'm about to acquiesce to them, it becomes that type of thing. But then, in this unique circumstance, we go back in circles, I say to that billionaire, I say, well, you get out there and run it. Can't do it. That's why it still leans back to that not as rich person. Because in this arena, money ain't enough. Got to be able to do what they can do. You got to be able to do what Kyrie can do. And guess what? Find me one other guy who can do what he can do. Find me one. Find him. Search the world. Bring him here. I'll wait. You can go to Africa and find a guy that looks like him. Pay him double the amount if it makes you feel better. Still ain't going to do what Kyrie does. Nope. You can find a really, really, really good basketball player too. Hell, even a different type of basketball player. Go give me Cole Anthony. He's hella good. He's a different person though. You're not going to get that art. See what I'm saying? So that's what it is. We got to treat the elite. If you really want them, you got to treat them special. And cash ain't enough. So that's what it is, man. That leverage thing, that leverage ties in just fine with that. Because it helps you understand how important it is. Important to keep that leverage in place. Because once you get one of those players, how hard is it to keep them? Once you get rid of them, how hard is it to replace them? Can't mess up. You don't have no room to slip of the tongue and say the wrong word or tell the world that this player wants out and that you ain't unhappy with him too. That's going to drop his value and all that other stuff. Telling players, we're not going to do this, that, and the third with you. We're unhappy. Everybody sees we're arguing. That's bad. Bad for leverage. So, yeah, man. This is what it is. That's why I always say you got to have certain things in place. This is why I scream the way I do about having the right environment around these stars, making sure that you don't mess their path up by putting them in positions to and just not be able to succeed for one reason or another. It's so important that all teams respect these super duper stars timeline for the same exact reason. It's why all of this has happened. It's why KD feels he can ask for the world and the moon and the stars and damn near demand that it be in place. It's why. Same thing. So, the problem that you find is the ever-changing price tag of the players. Superstars change every day. You know, certain guys are mainstays. I'd imagine LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Kevin Durant is one of those people whose value doesn't fluctuate at all. They're superstars till they retire. But the rest of the field, it fluctuates. Jason Tatum a superstar? Does he deserve that type of superstar treatment? Some say yes, some say no. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow, yes. You see what I'm saying? It's that kind of thing. Some would say Victor Wembanyama already deserves that type of attention. He has that type of value. He ain't even a late NBA player yet. But because of his demand and because of how everybody's moving things around, I'm pretty sure he has some crazy leverage, him and his team right now. Pretty certain. So it's like these are the type of things that can fluctuate. If he gets a knee injury, not that anymore. Now suddenly the things that he could demand last week, he can't even ask for. And with that changing so fast, and fluctuating so fast, being able to identify who has what leverage becomes very, very, very difficult. It's like a game of hopscotch. You jump in, out, in, like you have no idea. You better catch it. It's that type of thing. For Russell Westbrook, for example, 2-3 years ago, he could tell everybody, hey, I want this move, that move. Now he can barely ask to be a part of the team. And nothing has changed. He's in the same condition. He had no major injuries, nothing. One bad season took all of that leverage and respect away from him. He went from being a guy who could demand a pick and several players to now being a guy that we can't get rid of. We cannot get rid of. Same contract. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you're an owner, what you don't want to do is mistake who still has what. You know what I mean? You for example, like let's say for an extreme example, let's say Jeannie Buss wasn't aware that Carmelo Anthony wasn't a superstar anymore. Extreme example, obviously not the case. But let's just say, and she offers Carmelo Anthony the same amount that she was willing to offer him back in 2000 and what was it? Random 14, whatever year it was, when we were going after him. That could be a massive mistake for the owner. You know what I mean? Those are the type of mistakes that on a much lesser scale are made, where people misevaluate talent, misevaluate who still has what. You still trying to give the moon and the stars for, as I said last year, James Harden. If you're the Sixers, I felt that way about. Like, why are y'all trying to move the moon and the stars for James Harden as if he's still James Harden from Houston? That's what I thought they were doing in a way. You know, in kind of looking a little differently now, but that's the example I have for you. It's like that. You don't want to do that. That's where it gets tricky for owners, is being able to keep up with who's doing what and who's still talented, who's still productive, who's capable of being productive. Or you misevaluate that all entirely. Maybe you were one of those people that thought T.J. Warren was done back in 2020. You know what I mean? When he was able to go off in the bubble and show everybody his skill set was crazy. Maybe you thought he was a $1 million player. That year he was like a $10 million player. You know, these type of things. As an owner, you need to keep the people around you that can keep you up on that kind of stuff. Because unless you play fantasy basketball yourself obsessively, you ain't going to know who's still playing well and who's not. You're not going to know. So it's not one of those situations where owners are going to be able to stay on top of that stuff. They need those advisors. They need those professionals to tell them, hey, LaMarcus Aldridge, he ain't that guy no more. Hey, DeAndre Jordan, he's done now. It's over with. Like, those are the things you need someone to be able to tell you. Or otherwise, owners are going to be like, yeah, give me that guy. Ooh, he's familiar. Give me that guy. Yeah. Ooh, he did something. I remember that dunk. Yeah, give me that guy. Man, that dunk was in 2016, bro. It's 2022. He can't even get off the floor anymore. Owner doesn't know that. You know what I mean? He's just a guy with a lot of money in a lot of cases. Like, he needs these gurus and obsessive people like myself to just say, hey, yo, no, that guy's done. Don't give him nothing. No, sorry, no. Hire him as a coach. He ain't a player no more. Sorry. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I see there. It's just important that owners keep those professionals around them and understand that mask, that's important, my friends. That'll make it so that you're able to keep your goods at a price tag you are appreciative of. Hope everybody's appreciating this long rant. I've been ranting all day. I don't know why I'm so manic today. I really don't know, but I feel great, and I'm glad it's providing some content for us all. I hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, BDF 44. Thank you all for watching.